integrated spreadsheets in Polarion. Presenter is Karl Berger from Intercore. And Karl, now the stage is yours. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, thank you, Achim. And also a very warm welcome from my side. As you know, today it's about Excel, but it's also about Polarion, especially it's about Excel in Polarion. Did you know that Excel is probably the most used tool in the world, I guess. There are about 1 billion installations in the world. And also in almost every Polarion environment, there is Excel. Excel shows up. Excel is there because Excel work is familiar, and it's fast, and it has all the very useful functionalities. The real problem might occur when Excel files circulate outside of Polarion. Today, I show how SCell, our solution, keeps spreadsheet workflows in the Polarion context, which is leading to less version chaos, fewer errors, better traceability, and all that without losing productivity, what is important. Quick intro, as a short time, so we keeping pace. My name is Karl Berger from Intercore, and I speak about 20 minutes, and then after that we have some minutes time left for your questions and we have hopefully the answers. Intercore is a company. We develop software with more than 50 people since about 18 years, and we are located near Munich. We specialized in text editors, in DMS, and especially in Polarion. We are a member of the PLM group, and we are also a certified Siemens technology partner. We have, for example, developed many plugins for Polarion. We also have developed the REST API for Polarion. So there is a lot of experience and competence in this environment. Let's have a look at the reality in engineering projects. As I said, Excel is everywhere in daily engineering work. Typical examples are variant matrices, parameter lists, test data sheets, protocols, and analyzers, you name it. The key point, Excel isn't a problem. The context break could be. Excel appears especially where a lot of work is to be done, where tabular work is to do. Many rows, quick edits, copy and paste, filtering, applying formulas, and also when external inputs arrive as Excel. It's efficient, but outside of Polarion, it quickly could become uncontrolled. To make the difference, or to make the different perspectives of users clear, we divided them in two groups. Engineers and tool owners, they need governance. They need traceability. They need audit trail, workflows. Yeah, call it a single source of truth. Others need productivity, speed, Excel speed, copy and paste, filters, and the best without switching tools. The goal is not to ban Excel, but to embed it. So both sides get what they want. For example, a system engineer maintains a variant or feature matrix with hundreds of rows. The Excel is attached maybe to a live dog or to a work item, then downloaded for the bulk edits, for copy and paste, for sorting, for adding or deleting new columns, and then circulates for review. What could happen? Multiple so-called final copies appear Rows could get misaligned after sorting and approvals are bypassed. All that happens. The downside appears when Excel lives outside. Version drift, copy and paste and sorting errors, bypassed workflows, all that bad stuff. This is not only a technical risk, it costs time, creates coordination overhead, and causes rework, especially near releases and audits. Here's a classic example. I call it the 3 versions of truth. The same spreadsheet exists in Polarion, in a Teams chat, and in an email attachment. All 3 have the same name, and all 3 look plausible. And then in the meeting, you suddenly realize each group worked on a different final version. What happens next is exactly what nobody wants. You spend maybe 20 or more minutes debating the file version instead of the content. And then someone does a quick merge under time pressure, again outside the process. That is version drift in its purest form. Not because people are careless, but because files outside the system develop a life of their own. Our approach is quite simple. Excel stays Excel, but inside the Polarion context. That means via Polarion permissions, versioning, and traceable changes. This reduces the download, edit, upload loop. This compromise works for both users. Users keep the Excel feel and speed. Tool owners keep control, history, and auditability. It leads to fewer file variants, fewer reconciliation loops, fewer errors. Now briefly to practice, introducing SCell. What is SCell? This integrated solution, and what does a typical workflow look like? SCell is like Excel. It's a spreadsheet editor embedded in Polarion. Excel attachments can be not only viewed, but also edited directly. Importantly, it stays. No conversion into a special format needed. The typical workflow: open the work item, open the attachment, edit the cells, save, done. No download, no email ping pong, no local side versions. That's what makes the biggest difference in every day's efficiency. Another very key value is comparison. Compare revisions side by side and immediately see, and we see it later live, what had changed, which values, which formulas, which results. This speeds up reviews, reduces debates, and also supports audits. For reports, we know teams often export to Excel, and the results become outdated immediately. Keeping spreadsheet data in the Polarion context makes reporting more consistent and reduces manual effort. Let's have a look how SCell works inside Polarion. Here's a short video which we recorded to give you a feeling how that works. Here in the adding sections, where you can see how the files are in the work items, and they are directly linked and stored in Polarion. And then there's the long session where we can view and manage all the attachments. In that SCell section, we can attach the Excel files, we can open them, we can preview them, we can edit them, we can compare versions, and we can switch between them using the tabs. I let it run now for shortly, it's about a minute, so you can see how it works. We will then see the compare mode later on. We have a full screen mode, and then at the end of that short video, you will see how it works with live reports. Now in the compare section, we have the full screen mode. And we come in then to the live reporting. Okay. I hope that gives you a feeling how that Excel, our SCell works inside of Polarion. Let's now have a look on some use cases. Use cases who support both sides of user types. The governance area on the one side, productivity on the other. And now we focus on perspectives rather than features. For each type, we look at what are their typical tasks that they have to work on? Why do they use Excel? What problems could occur? And what value delivers SCell? This slide groups the users who treat Polarion as their system of record. So for control, for traceability, for compliance. That includes all the engineers, the tool owners, the admins, the Q&A validation leads, but also quality and compliance teams. Their focus is on traceability, on workflows and approvals, as well as audit trails, a single source of truth. Why Excel? Excel still appears for executive one-pagers, for trace and audit lists, for evidence tables, and so on, but also for bulk reports and reviews. That's where the already mentioned version drift, also uncontrolled copies, workflow bypasses, and maybe non-reproducible reports are happening. With SCell, the spreadsheet stays in Polarion context under permissions and versionizing, including compare for reviews. This reduces reconciliation loops and audit stress. And you can measure that. You can measure the impact. You can measure it via the hours for rework or the evidence preparation times and the number of report versions or clarifications, questions, and so on. And now we have the moment where maybe the audit comes. Auditors, they don't ask for opinions, they ask for evidence. For example, let's take a requirement, call it ABC. Now show me the test, show me the result, show me the approval evidence. If test data and protocols live in Excel outside Polarion, that's when the so-called, we call it maybe the treasure hunt starts. Downloads folders, emails, team messages, SharePoint links. I mean, you can easily piece everything together somehow, but not quickly, not consistently, and not in a reproducible, difficult word, way. Here comes an example. A Q&A engineer updates test cases with step-by-step actions with expected results and maintains parameterized test data sets. Today, steps and data are prepared in Excel, then imported to Polarion and stored as attachments. The evidence ends up maybe scattered around files and links. This may cause duplicate maintenance and frequent mismatches between steps and test data, especially across releases. With SCell, the same files are edited directly in Polarion, remaining traceable to test cases and runs, and revisions are clearly visible, making audits smoother and defects from wrong data much less likely. That's where effort explodes, not in testing itself, but in assembling and defending the evidence. The second group are the users who want to work fast. I mean, authors, test engineers, project contributors, business users. They maintain matrices and lists, structured test steps, test data, quick checks, and so on. They use Excel for complex work, for grid editing, for copy and for pasting, for filtering, for sorting, for using formulas, and sometimes even charts, even complex charts. The problem is often the context switching. Download, edit, upload. This is leading to duplicate maintenance and misaligned rows, or misaligned steps or test data. With SCell, they edit Excel directly in Polarion. Keeps the Excel feel. I guess you saw in the video that it is like Excel. People are using it in a second. And that avoids round trips and reduce errors. And you can also measure that here per how many round trips per week, a weekly maintenance effort, and so on. Here's another example. A release manager prepares a weekly steering update with traffic lights, with stop risk and scope changes, and KPIs. The data exists in Polarion, but the report is assembled in Excel after exporting and formatting. Each week generates new copies and different exports of filters leading to inconsistent numbers and extra clarification loops in meetings. With SCell, the Excel one-pager is remained as a controlled artifact in Polarion, updated in context with a clear revision history. So reporting becomes much faster and more consistent. The summary of your business value, and I guess I mentioned it already, is saving time, improving quality by fewer copies, fewer paste and versioning errors, by less context switching, better versionizing, better collaboration, by the way, and better transparency, and less rework. The key is Excel stays usable, but controlled and traceable. To make it tangible, saving just a few minutes per person per day quickly adds up to many hours per year, plus fewer disruptions before releases, fewer errors from wrong versions, and less audit stress. I hope I could give you a good feeling what SCell is about and how it could help you in working with it in Polarion.